Believe this place, the money they've spent?
How can someone spend $500,000 on a wedding and still make it look like a cheap Sweet 16 at a Staten Island banquet hall?
Allegra Sacramone getting married. Were we not just at her christening?
Johnny Sack's daughter's wedding in The Sopranos stands as perhaps the purest expression of David Chase's thesis. Money, when funneled through the American nouveau riche, buys spectacle but never taste. The reported price tag, nearly $500,000, is staggering, even by today's absurd wedding industrial complex standards.
For the first time anywhere, let's give a huge hand and a lot of love to...
But what did it purchase? A vaguely Mediterranean venue straight out of a catalog for aspiring Long Island aristocrats, a lounge act crooning Sinatra knockoffs with all the charisma of a karaoke bar's Tuesday night regular, and a cake-cutting song so aggressively nasal and insipid that one could reasonably imagine it on loop in Dante's Ninth Circle.
I'm Deputy Feetham, U.S. Marshal Service. This is my partner, Deputy Mayweather. We're here to escort you to the wedding today.
Gentlemen.
Throw in the federally mandated expense of U.S. Marshals standing guard, and one has the ultimate irony. Johnny Sack was paying both for his daughter's big day and for the very government jailing him.
He pled guilty, Sal.
The whole affair epitomizes the gaudy falseness of mid-tier mob affluence. The pasta was surely lukewarm, the chicken marsala rubberized, and the flowers indistinguishable from the same silk arrangements available at any suburban funeral home. The venue itself, Leonard's Palazzo of Great Neck, known locally as the Pink Palace, is legendary for staging precisely this kind of overblown carnival of new money. It is the tri-state temple to chintz, a mausoleum of plaster columns and disco lighting, where the only thing more bloated than the flower budget is the guest list. Chase knew exactly what he was doing. The scene is less about one wedding than about the pathology of an entire culture.
The plans for the wedding.
Please, it's not a wedding planner anymore.
America's obsession with appearances, wealth signaling, and empty pageantry. The mobsters of The Sopranos are not only criminals, they are tasteless strivers, desperate to mimic a vision of high life gleaned from airline shopping catalogs and Trumpian excess.
Oh, and the planner checked the almanac and he said there's a 65% historical chance of rain on the 12th.
They can afford Murano chandeliers and Maseratis, yet the chandeliers look like Vegas stage props, and the Maseratis drive like gussied-up Chryslers. And the sad truth is, they wouldn't know the difference.
Maserati. Gotta draw attention, no?
True, friends of ours, most of them probably wouldn't own it.
Take Johnny Sack's pride in owning a Maserati. In the early 2000s, Maserati was the car one bought to look rich, when Ferrari and Lamborghini were out of reach. The vehicle of choice for those who craved an Italian sports car experience, but settled for Dodge interiors with Mediterranean branding. Nothing says sophisticated Dawn quite like a rapidly depreciating status symbol, collecting dust in the garage because one's wife can't ride in it with her bad knee.
425.
Oh, far. So adjusting for inflation, I'm looking at half a rock.
The entire episode functions as Chase's satire of aspirational culture. The Sacramone wedding is the culmination of a recurring motif in The Sopranos.
I, Eric, take you, Allegra, to be my wife.
Allegra? Ain't that a cold medicine?
Means happiness in Italian.
That every social institution, from the mob to the church to psychiatry itself, is corrupt, cynical, and false. What better way to illustrate this than through a grotesque celebration that costs more than most middle-class families' annual income, only to produce an atmosphere of soulless boredom? It is the gaudy American dream made flesh and sequined.
Puppeteer, Children's Television Workshop. Father's Asa Silbert, head of commercial paper at Goldman Sachs.
This critique, of course, extends beyond Italian-American caricature. Chase never confined his scorn to mobsters alone. Politicians, priests, suburban housewives, and Wall Street types all came under the same acid lens. The wedding simply provided the perfect canvas, a cultural event that merges money, tradition, family, and ego into a grotesque spectacle of competitive consumption.
You will be escorted by U.S. Marshals. The cost of their presence, transportation...
That the marshals stood by, billing hours at taxpayer expense, only sharpened the satire. Yet there is an undeniable truth beneath the mockery.
Christopher, $2,400!
Nice.
Gaudy can be expensive. Taste is irrelevant. Price is everything. In the New York metro area, even a modest 120-guest wedding runs upward of $60,000. Add in the sacrimony family size, the need for spectacle, and the mobster tendency to overcompensate,
Not counting the honeymoon? 425.
and the $500,000 claim is not as far-fetched as it sounds. The wedding industrial complex thrives on precisely this inflation. The moment the word wedding is uttered, every vendor doubles or triples the rate. A birthday party at Leonard's might be $30,000. A wedding? $160,000 minimum. And when the bride arrives on a smoke machine pedestal to the dulcet sounds of the bride cuts the cake, one realizes that spectacle, not dignity, was always the point.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
The comparison to other cultural touchstones is instructive. Lorraine Bracco's Goodfellas narration skewered the mob wives for spending fortunes on appearances only to end up looking fake, cheap, and indistinguishable from one another. The sacrimony wedding carries the same ethos forward. Women in gowns that cost thousands but look mass-produced.
Patent leather?
It's a tuxedo.
Have you read an issue of GQ in the past 3 or 4 years?
Men in suits that aspire to Armani but scream discount catalog. The same disease afflicts Carmela Soprano's house. Lavish in size, yet decorated like a 1990s mail-order showroom. Money without culture inevitably produces McMansions, with granite countertops arriving 5 years too late.
Believe this place, the money they've spent?
Either this or give it to the feds in the asset seizure.
Check this out. They got a whole seafood station over there.
Even the food serves the satire. In reality, guests at such affairs rarely rave about the cuisine. It is reheated banquet fare designed to serve 400 at once, a culinary version of the plastic fountain in the foyer, big, flashy, and ultimately hollow.
How much are we giving so I can write it down?
You keep tabs on gifts? How sentimental.
Guests don't attend for the flavor anyway. They attend to be seen, to offer fat envelopes, and to complain privately afterward about the tackiness of it all. The tragedy, or comedy depending on one's view, is that the people throwing such events rarely enjoy them.
It's Allegra's wedding, Tony. The way things are. I don't know if I'll be around for Catherine's.
Weddings become arenas for showing off to rivals, appeasing in-laws, and padding bank accounts with cash gifts. In many cases, the hosts don't even like half the people present. Yet they dutifully endure a 5-hour extravaganza so that for one evening they can pretend to embody glamour rather than insecurity. Perhaps the most biting commentary is that the Sopranos audience recognized this wedding not as hyperbole, but as documentary. Anyone who grew up in New Jersey, Long Island, or Staten Island can recall nearly identical scenes. Pedestals rising from fog machines, cousins grumbling over guest lists, fathers calculating whether the envelopes will cover the tab. Chase didn't invent this absurdity. He simply held up a mirror. In the end, the sacrimony wedding embodies the series' central theme. Money does not buy class, morality, or even happiness. It buys a Maserati that no one drives, a $50,000 chandelier that looks like a stage prop, and a band whose nasal crooning makes the chicken dance sound like Mozart.
You will be released for a total of 6 hours to attend the church service and party thereafter.
It buys 5 hours of forced festivity at a venue nicknamed the Pink Palace, where guests secretly dream of leaving early. It buys, in short, the illusion of success, which is all these characters ever truly possess. David Chase once remarked that The Sopranos was his way of airing grievances about American culture, its falseness, its pestilence, its obsession with surface over substance. The sacrimony wedding is that grievance incarnate.
So seriously, what's the damages here?
$500,000 spent not on joy, but on a performance of wealth so hollow it borders on tragicomedy. The American dream, distilled to its gaudiest core and set to the unforgettable refrain, "The bride cuts the cake." Money well spent. Johnny Sack dropped $500,000 on a wedding. All I'm asking is one click. Subscribe.